Welcome back, and Merry Christmas. If this is releasing when I expect it to, I hope you're having a good day. And of course, what can make it better than avoiding family, avoiding time together, and just watching some Zetsubou Sensei where the world itself is just as questionable. There's nothing festive about this, but at least we can sit down together and watch anime. Seems good enough to me. So, if you're enjoying this series, let me know, but grab a drink so that we can begin. And are we going to get national propaganda and whatnot in this? Okay. On his forehead? Yeah, I kind of expected just to be constant whining noises the entire way through. It'd be just as comprehensible as every other preview bit that we've had for this. So, the fact that they basically just do whatever they like for these is kind of... Time slips are a great way to explain pretty much anything going on. But yeah, they're just having fun with this, not really caring about storylines or continuity or any sort of believability. But yeah, time slips and warfare and whatnot does remind me, I kind of wanted to see Gate. I think that was the name of it, at least. Modern military versus fantasy world. Right, so that's how we rewrite history. Cool. I'm on board with these visuals. I am no longer on board with these visuals. But the fact they had, headbanging and some hair animation in there. Someone really likes their beams, don't they? But yeah, I did not expect to ever see that painting have a little paint over with a school uniform, or sailor school uniform. Can't say my life is better having seen that. I will say the use of the artistic backplates and drawings and I think really quite nice. We've got an extra continuation of this? I think more shows need to do that, where they just go a little off the rails. I remember back in my art class and whatnot, when I was trying to come up with final project work, I settled on something very safe. But I wish I did something more like the head of thorns and vines bullshit that we're seeing here. I kind of actually hope we just get 8 minutes of pure music video, because though it is just a continuation of the song, we're hearing it so many times, they just threw everything at the wall and be like, what's kind of out there, visually appealing, catching, and yet doesn't really seem all too out of place for Zetsubou Sensei. The Rapture being one of them. What was that last word? Oh. Didn't know we were watching Shaun of the Dead. Ah, this is more Dawn of the Dead, isn't it? With the mall. General Virus and the Free Doctor... General Virus, not Major Virus. Lieutenant Virus. First Private Virus. Okay. Hopefully you're not going to give a live demonstration. It was just... Okay, there was no actual electricity involved. Remember, when performing CPR, if you hear ribs crack, you're doing it right. So many shows now resort to comedy and humour. We need some advice in our lives once in a while. AED and the dead. Yeah, nice. Dysfunctional AED. Close enough. But some medical advice, while not properly received, can cause more trouble than it's trying to help. I'm not sure anyone's looking at this show for actually improving their lives or helping anyone. Even if they're just, sunbathing or... Who's getting zapped? How many of life's problems can be solved with a violent shock? 7 year... Excuse me. And how many of them by the end of this skit are going to be wearing uniforms like that? I see. That's how you revive Sparks. Yes. Outfits. You know, we might not be wrong, though. And sometimes the reverse is true. She didn't seem adverse to actually wearing it, though. I mean, that acronym by itself is something. Time to get the spray paint out. A perm. Is it going to be a very fit... Bah. Whole head of hair. Revitalize books. Was it going to turn into DVDs or something? Or just start a fire? Okay. Please don't. You know, finding ways to get a little bit of extra life out of something. You know, upcycling and all this, but... sometimes the originals are best left alone. I see. A rock. Who's that? Also, if we're now getting a Pet Cemetery zombie revival story, I now see how we got to Dawn of the Dead. Now, who's going to... Well, actually, no, we know who's going to be the most likely to survive in this kind of situation. Several of them are wiping out the population before there was even zombies, so... No, not stonewatch jeans! Wish they weren't flared. Oh, please don't have a zombie outbreak now, because, yeah, there's some construction works just outside my home. I'd like that finished first. Don't extended timelines or anything. Not great defensively, a supermarket, but supplies-wise, could be worse. Oh, that's a vampire, is it not? He was just having fun here. If there's zombies around... I guess that's one way, yeah, creating zombie thralls so that they'd have to continue buying and reading your product. I feel like if zombie virus was a thing, it would take probably about 24 hours before someone finds some corporate way of making money out of it. Whale Island? So many times I've had kind of like castaway storylines, or especially games do this kind of thing, so I think I'd do quite well in that kind of situation. Less in a water park. Huh? How strong are the waves in the pool? This is just a... Wouldn't all the bandages get a little soggy? Ponyo, sorry. A movie I believe I've seen. Taken away by the tide. Please don't. So, either going along with the tide of everyone else and following along, or your own ideals. And how is this going to end badly? Why is there a puppy in a box? And well, that one I can't really complain about it. At least she's happy, and there's a dog. Swept away by emotions. Yep. A good way to actually visualize it, I guess. Have a wave pool like that. Aha. Yeah, this one's a little more on the nose and relevant. Changing cultures and laws based on external factors. Hopefully they've got a net for all the water and crap that she's putting into it. Right. I mean, it's a... yeah. Idealized version of New York. You know, if a water park just goes out into the open ocean, I can see some lawsuits. Always. The island of misfit toys. Excuse me. Oh, so of course. Are there going to be giant tortoises here? He's peacocking. So this is a island of eccentrics, or no, aid to Mars. Wait, there's criminalization on this? But this... It's probably good that this island is cordoned off. Wait, was that Betamax? What was that? Having an island of garbage where we throw stuff away that doesn't quite fit would be useful. Others seem to actually thrive here, though, so... Ah, that painting. And its little-known cousin on the other side of the bank. Your murderous intent is one thing. Not sure it's not being caught up in the mood, though. And yet, this seems normal. I mean, they've gotten this far. They've had to become accustomed to going with the flow and being washed away, and... Is that for the best? We're going, smash cutting from deserted island, well, almost deserted island, whatnot, to hostess bars. I'm getting whiplash with these scene changes. You know, I've not heard such kind of cute sound effects for drinking alcohol before. That was a long time ago. How wasted is he going to be by the time he's finished visiting them all? Yeah, not suitable to teach is probably... That is some incredible internal alarm. What did that achieve? I know, sure, swapping the uniforms over, so now we have the summer clothes. Woo! But does anyone actually, on the second, do switchovers like that? I'm pretty sure we all know that my style changes all the time. I could only read some of those. For some reason, the text was so blurry. Has character. Sometimes just putting it diplomatically so you don't insult them to their face. Please don't reclove your teeth. I'd never want to hear that phrase again, or visualize what it would mean. If every time someone got called out for being foolish or an idiot on this show, they'd have no time for anything else. a low IQ individual, those kind of people will be watching Sayonara Zetsubou Sensei. Wait. Well, she has an inner demon hidden by external optimism. Find the good in every situation and circumstance. Dare. Not the first time I've seen alternative subtitling and maybe overdubbing of words. Okay. Huh. I mean, this is a current thing where translators and whatnot try to modernize text or change it for cultural values and whatnot. Dreaming natural jelly. Sure. I don't know if that's better though. Sometimes saying it what it is, bodies on a battlefield is less harrowing than visualizing jelly. Embrace the normal. Okay, so now what? Centralized headlines in newspaper or whatnot. Right. Trying to ease that down. And I think the sales are going to go through the floor. Are they a cult? I would... Wow. Please, don't try and make being in a cult more socially acceptable. Or easier to get into. That's a dangerous and slippery slope. Cow piss. Out of context, that wouldn't actually be all too surprising with Zetsubou Sensei. And where some of the translations are so notoriously bad that it goes down in time as more memorable than the show, whatever it is that they... What was on the board there? Than was originally part of it. Higurashi? I mean, I've seen the show. Yeah. That's a cool double face. Someone, please, notice her uniform before she goes stir crazy. Skimp. Please don't file them down. She's getting a lot of screen time, isn't she? I see Persona's really gone downhill. Emos, so don't give a fuck, what? I will like, in this episode, having liberal translations and fun with it while translating it into English, are they also having extra fun with it? Just putting random bullshit down in the back? Unfortunately, she only knows one language. Yeah. Yeah, corporate speak. I mean, they're too on the. Sometimes personal delusion is in line with reality. At least the other statements were correct. Excuse me. Just stop talking. Well, that one's probably not really mistranslated. Everyone stopped listening years ago. But yeah, there's so many times that someone has said something and others have taken it to mean something else, or read between the lines when there wasn't actually an additional message there. Sometimes things can be taken at face value and not need a translation to mean whatever the internal desire of the person witnessing it means. We don't need to help personal delusions more than they already are. No marriages need to be held in one's own mind. I mean, if everyone started believing what people said based on just what they wanted to hear, this show wouldn't actually change all too much. They go and do pretty much what they want all the time anyway. But on a fundamental level, that is kind of, at least with the English language, and I'm not sure about, can't say this for certain others, but it is kind of up to the interpretation of the person hearing it, of how they bim bom, how they take on the meaning. Is there a note on the door or anything? Bim bom. Yeah, okay. So there's bigger issues here than just they're ringing his doorbell when he doesn't want it. Yeah, maybe you should actually answer some calls once in a while. They would need to continue. Yeah, pressure of delivery. That was such a quick end of the episode. Didn't realise it had restarted. But hey ho, that was one more episode of Zetsubou Sensei down, and one where I was just as lost as ever. Of course, having translations and words misinterpreted and read how one would want to believe them to be, I've done that several times and had to be corrected about what I understood because of what I thought I read. So it's really not that far-fetched to just take it a step or two further. Although I don't believe I've ever had such a bad misinterpretation of a situation where a restraining order meant to buy a house together. But for that character, even if that wasn't the skit, it would turn out like that. Zetsubou Sensei just doing things that other shows wouldn't, like extending the intro twice over, redoing a whole bunch of new visuals to make them more artistically interpretive. I wonder if the animators were taken aback by that, or were actively, this sounds good, I want to do this, because, not limited to the usual mundane, draw a person, move them slightly. But getting those full backgrounds and abstract visuals in there. It would take some extra time to actually do it, but so much more artistic freedom. Unless they were all done beforehand and then they were told to, you have to replicate this based on the source material. I will say though, that kind of creativity makes me want to try and get back into drawing and art at some point, but I've been out of the game for so long, and I was never good to begin with. I really don't know what I'm going to do when Zetsubou Sensei actually comes to its conclusion and we don't have any more episodes, because, well, it's one of those shows where I can't just turn off my brain, but I can. Because sometimes it's just bombarded with extra information and random bullshit where it's too much, and I'm like, okay, let's just enjoy the insanity. Sometimes you need moments like that. I love shows that are a little creative, whether it be in the message and story, or the visuals, or somehow even the basic building blocks of having a comprehensible story. Or follow-through of conversations. Something that Zetsubou Sensei I don't think actually has managed to achieve, but more by design than fault. Thinking back to it, when I used to have, the uniform switchovers in high school, you go from winter to summer and vice versa. I don't think anyone was that eager as on the clock, on the dot, switch over time. But there are definitely people who are excited on the day. So, ooh, we don't need to wear blazers anymore. Yes. And yes, my high school, we had to have ties and blazers. Kind of explains a lot, really, that one. But now that this insanity is over for one more week, now to get back to the drudgery of family life. If you are watching this in the holiday season, Merry Christmas and everything else that you celebrate. Try and have a good week, or longer, or shorter if you really don't want to. But I'm now going to go off and do something productive before having to meet up with family. So, hopefully you enjoyed this one. If that is the case, let me know. Leave a like and a comment down below. Consider subscribing to the channel. Down onto my Discord. But most importantly, take care of yourselves. Because I really hope to see you for the next one. If you want to avoid going with the flow and instead support something that is going absolutely nowhere, consider joining onto my Patreon, because thanks to the likes of Sao, HDR, Ethan5, Guado, Kite, Wolfie Sensei, Zug, and everyone else, I'm able to ignore everything and come up with my own dubbing of how I perceive reality.